Hey everyone, Brian Whittington here, founder of EBS Growth. And today I wanted to share with you a concept that we call an experience builder. And the goal of this experience builder is to take your tribal knowledge, especially those in the more senior positions, take that tribal knowledge and quickly and effectively pass that on to more junior folks. Now, here's a way that I'd like you to consider this. It's a couple of steps. So number one is we want to be able to clearly identify what are the problems that we solve, right? So once we know what problems that we solve, then it allows us to be a little, to more easily tie what we do. So tie back problems to our solutions. You see, the reason that more senior salespeople or more senior positions can do a better job in selling is because they know how to take those visible characteristics, those problems, and tie those back to our solutions. And the best way to do that is not necessarily by telling. So I challenge you this: don't tell anything that you would like to tell them. Rather, figure out how to ask that in a question. So we identify the problems that we solve, tie those problems back to our solutions. And then three, once we're able to do that, then we determine what are all the observable, right? Observable characteristics that are shown. So in those observable characteristics, those are surface level indicators. So things like, well, we're not prospecting enough, we're not getting enough net new business, or whatever your clients are saying to you. How do we observe those? What are they saying whenever we're doing our outreach to them or our sales calls with them? So once we determine those observable characteristics, then we go to step 4 and we create overarching buckets that will solve the problem. And so these will be your core competencies. What are you really good at? And everything should lead from those surface level indicators and bracket down to the solution that you offer. And then finally, what set of questions can I ask to lead them to this solution? So that's the idea here. So what's that look like in real world? So it would look like this. If we lay out all of the observable problems that our people might have, right? Our prospects might have. So we'll just use our world, right? So they lack sales, right? So if the problem is they lack sales, so that could happen in a couple of different ways. It might be because they don't have the right sales talent. It might be that they don't have effective outreach methods, so they don't have the right methods. Or it could also be that they don't have the right contact information. Now, there's a couple of others, but those are the 3 areas in which that we can help, right? So if those are the overarching buckets that I'm trying to lead them to, I'm going to say, okay, so you lack sales. Well, if you lack sales, that can happen for one of a couple of reasons. One is maybe we're doing outreach, but it's not effective, or we're not doing enough outreach. And they say, well, that's, so they lack sales. And so we take it to these first 2. Well, they're not doing enough outreach. Okay, so if they're not doing enough outreach, and we have 2 brackets here that we can go to. Is it because they don't have the tools? Or is it they won't do the work? Well, they don't have the tools. And then I build off of that, right? So each time I would have these builds that all lead to one of these buckets. And that's called the experience builder, that at the end of it, you go 3, 4, 5 questions deep, and you go, well, you mind if I make a suggestion? It seems like you have this issue, or it seems like you have this issue, or you seems like you have this issue. Why don't we set up a time and maybe talk through it a little bit more deeply? So that's the way that you would structure this. So taking this all the way out. So, hey, we don't have enough sales right now. Well, is that because they're doing the outreach, but maybe it's not effective? Or is it that they're not doing the outreach? Well, they're doing the outreach, it's just not effective. Okay, well, is that because they don't have the sales enablement tools to maybe do that? Or they're doing the work, but they just don't have the right effectiveness, maybe right training? Well, I'd say that they don't have the right tool set to be able to do that. Okay, now is it that they're spending a lot of time in sourcing their own leads, or are those leads given and maybe they're just bad leads? No, I would say that their leads are given, but they're just not getting a hold of anyone. Okay, got it. Well, let me make this suggestion then. I'm going to take it down to here. We have a solution called prospecting intelligence that might help them save 40 to 60 hours a week, or excuse me, 40 to 60 hours in a month to be more effective at that. So that's a way that we can take a lack of sales, tied into what we do, one of our offerings, and then set the meeting. So that's the idea here. Set the questions at hand of what they should lead to, and a person on day one, by following this almost NCAA Final 16 or Sweet 16 bracket, can be really effective even on day one by following this if-then methodology. Hopefully you find this helpful. Thanks so much. Get after it.